Leader Jeffries, first, will you endorse Kamala Harris? And then I have one other question for you.
Well, Leader Schumer and I are scheduled to meet with Vice President Harris shortly. The House came back into session today. The Senate does not come back into session tomorrow. I'm excited for that meeting. And let me say this, that Vice President Kamala Harris has excited the community. She's excited the House Democratic Caucus, and she's exciting the country. And so I'm looking forward to sitting down with her in person in short order with Leader Schumer, and we'll have more to say about the path forward as soon as that meeting comes.
Quick question. What does President Biden need to do these final few months to ease the path to help, while he's in office, to ease the path to make it easier for Democrats to flip the House and to keep the White House?
Well, President Biden is going to continue to do his job. And he's put the country first. He's put the American people first. He's put hard-working American taxpayers first, which is what President Biden has always done. And as a result of his leadership, we've seen transformational change, fixing our crumbling bridges, roads, tunnels, airports, our sewer and water systems, rescuing the economy from the once-in-a-century pandemic, gun safety legislation for the first time in 30 years, standing up for our veterans, bringing domestic manufacturing jobs back home to the country, and passing the Inflation Reduction Act, which is the largest investment in combating the climate crisis in the history of the world. We still have more work to do. We still have to lower costs. We still have to end price gouging. We have to continue to grow the middle class, defend democracy, and fight for reproductive freedom. President Biden will continue to do that job along with Vice President Harris and Democrats in the House and the Senate.
Leader Jeffries. This has been a few weeks of very intense discussions about Biden being at the top of the ticket. What light can you shed to the American public about the concerns that you conveyed to the president about staying on the top of the ticket?
It's a private conversation with President Joe Biden that will remain private.
Mr. Leader, I mean, there has been a lot of reporting about what was said and wasn't. So just for the record, can you just be clear? Did you ever tell the president that he could hurt Democrats' chances at taking back the majority if he stayed in the race? And secondly, what do you say to those, whether it's Ron Klain or congressional Republicans, who claim that Democratic Party leaders or elected officials pushed the president out?
President Joe Biden is a heroic, patriotic, and transformational figure. And he will go down in history as one of the greatest public servants of all time. That much is clear. I had a private conversation with President Biden to express the perspectives that were wide-ranging of the House Democratic Caucus. That conversation will remain private. In terms of my Republican colleagues, former President Donald Trump and extreme MAGA Republicans are having a meltdown right now, a complete and total meltdown. Why? Because their presidential nominee is unpopular. The extreme MAGA Republican policies are unpopular, including trying to impose a nationwide abortion ban on the American people, and their Project 2025 is unpopular. They're having a meltdown right now. All we want to do as Democrats is have a debate about moving the country forward and continuing to put people over politics.